that I'm finally getting an opportunity to sit and talk to some of my Broadway divas again because it
Mm.
has been a very stressful time for many of us. But I am so happy that I'm back because I'm back now with one of my favorites. I love her because, first of all, she is beyond talented. So that's, the given. But I love it because you are just so out there when you're ready to be out there. You don't give a shish kebab. She don't care. She do what she needs to do. She tells you what's going on. She writes about it. She's all over the place. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so glad to bring back Keith Price's Curtain Call with my one of my favorite people. I don't want to say the favorite because everybody gets jealous,
One of your Broadway
but
babies.
one of my Broadway babies, honey. Melissa Ericco is here with me, Tony nominated Melissa Ericco, who is back with yet another album, which I am
Mhm.
thrilled because you are working with one of the biggest and best storytellers of music ever.
Mhm.
And you are interpreting and having a damn good time doing it. And I'm loving every minute of this. Oh my God, y'all. Oh, excuse me. I'm just having a moment because
Well, you got
I
an
got
advance copy,
I
though.
got an
So,
advanced
yeah,
copy
you got an advance copy, but
of
soon enough,
Son
everybody will have it.
at
I hope.
Sondheim in the city, honey. And let me tell you
Yes.
something. It's so
Can
funny,
I
Miss.
tell you that the physical copies have arrived yesterday? And
Oh,
there it is. And then opens up, and you see all pictures of this woman, this Sondheim woman,
uh-huh.
including the working girl on the phone. And it comes with this absolutely beautiful book. It comes with a little book
Look
which
at
talks
this.
about Sondheim and his feelings about the city and his experiences in the city. He says that he grew up within a 20 block radius and
Uh-huh.
spent his life rather. So Manhattan is where he was centered his whole life. And this is actually the woman, my Aunt Rose, who could very well be the lady from the song that you just heard, the Broadway Baby.
Wow.
She was discovered by Ziegfeld, and she was working. Excuse me. She was working in the subway in a restaurant in a subway chain. Like a luncheon place, and she got
Uh-huh.
discovered by Florence Ziegfeld, and she became a Ziegfeld girl. So she could easily
Wow.
be this girl pounding 42nd Street to be in a show
So,
from the musical Follies. And
I
so there
love
I
it.
am singing a song from Follies on the other page, if
I
you can
love
imagine.
this. I
Yeah,
love it.
that was at Carnegie Hall, and so I wrote all about Sondheim's New York shows, his
Mhm.
feelings about New York, and what we tried to accomplish uh, with this album, making a
Well, let's just talk about it then.
exploration of his city songs.
It's
Yeah.
so crazy because again, Melissa Errico, if you guys are followers and know and have seen and follow, because I know y'all are. I know you if you're watching this because of her, I know you're a big follower. But here's one of
Oh,
my things. It's like I joined you musically in terms of your solo stuff with your first Sondheim album, Sondheim Sublime.
yes.
And one of the things that I remember when we had that conversation about that show, because you were getting ready to do, I think, 54 Below at the time.
Sure.
And it was the conversation of just how beautiful the stories are that he tells in these songs and how you were able to kind of pare it down, shape it down to do this. And then this album, there's so many fabulous big bandy boom,
Yes, it's
boom,
very
boom
different.
numbers. It's so
Very
different.
different. Yeah.
So,
Sometimes Sublime was meant to be a sort of lyrical and inward facing record.
mhm.
I was looking inside myself for some life answers. I had little children. I had a health problem at that time. I was very much in touch with Stephen Sondheim, writing letters to him. He became more and more of a pen pal. Once I started writing in the New York Times, he found that interesting. And he challenged me a few times when I wrote about certain actresses who had a positive memory of their skills or their time, and he would write back, "She was terrible. What are you saying?" Or something. So we had some very funny emails in which I would, have a retort or something, and he one of those exchanges ended with him saying, "You are far more generous than I."
Wow.
So we had
Well, I
so many
mean,
funny times. But while I was putting together Sondheim Sublime, I shared some of my interests with him in looking for the most empathic and sublime philosophical songs, I was
Mhm.
looking for answers, life answers, but looking inward into myself. And I do
Right.
turn to Stephen Sondheim for answers. He has a theme in his work in that I was exploring in that, which was that we disappear, we die, but we don't. What are the things that
Mm.
you want to leave behind when you depart this world? What
Wow.
are the tales you tell? That is the spell. Children will listen. All of that. Um, they occur in so many of his songs. Oh, you know what? I'm gonna have to tell my friends to stop writing to me. Uh,
Because
um,
she's very busy. Well, that's a really great point, though, that for someone like me who, you know, big black gay, yes, love the theater, of course. Um, you know what was very interesting because when I was younger, a lot of the theater kids, I was a band queen, so there was that for the minute. And the theater kids, when they would talk about Sondheim and they would be all like, oh, he's the most amazing thing. And I just remembered
so sweet.
thinking to myself that I just couldn't get it. I didn't couldn't get into it. I was younger, life was that weird. And it only wasn't until I got
Was Sondheim
older.
seemed a little cuckoo to you?
Yeah, well, not necessarily seemed cuckoo. It was just that I mean, for lack of a better term, it felt very white. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Ah,
didn't
mm-hmm.
it didn't feel
Well,
like it was
yeah.
appealing to me at the time. And then as I've gotten older and as I've lived a little life, as I have, been through a couple of heartbreaks, a couple of bad romances, a couple of good romances,
There's room
um,
for everyone in his work, actually.
and what happens is that
Yeah,
everything started to make sense to me from the place of just being a human versus being, big black gay guy. You know what I mean? Like it started to really it penetrated all of those particular places and then gets to me on a level where, like we're losing my mind, oh, it's like,
sure, sure.
but then at the same time, I'm a big Broadway baby person. So like every time I hear anybody's version of that, it brings nothing but joy to me because
Well, because you love to aspire. You're an aspiring
exactly,
person, and you're also a perseverer,
you know,
a perseverant person, a person of perseverance, and that
yeah,
character for sure has a dream.
I'm
You know,
still here. Forget
I
about it. Oh,
no, I know what you're saying. I found Sondheim. You can even say that he's sexist. You could say that
mm-hmm,
easily, that his women are always pining for a man and so on. But I've taken so many good looks at what I could get from him, and I felt like I get so much courage and so much wisdom. But in the Sondheim Sublime record, not only was I looking for these ideas about things we leave behind and
mm-hmm,
the ruminative and sort of philosophical, sometimes sexy songs. I always like a sexy song. I don't
yeah,
think I'll ever sing "In Buddy's Eyes." I think that's the one song I'll just never sing.
yeah,
But uh, uh, I also thought that there's answers in that, or look, questions and answers in that album for creative people, the
right,
creative process, move on, uh, especially move on, but also children in art.
yeah,
It's not so much do what you like as it is that you like what you do. All these
yeah,
wonderful sentences that stop my heart, and no more, the song No More. Anyhow, so I feel like sometimes if I don't look specifically at sexism or
mm-hmm,
that you will find some part of the human condition and the human soul in his work. This album, I we can say this on time as many things, and maybe as I was coming up, I thought of him. I wasn't sure that when I was first starting in the business, if he was too biting for me, too sort
mm,
of cynical or
yeah,
sly or satiric, which I love,
mm-hmm,
all of that. But what I've learned in now with this next album is that when it comes to his city songs, he's one thing that really, really interests me above all is ecstatic. And I don't mean like dopey ecstatic, like, I just
mm-hmm,
want to be happy, but it's the variety and the pluralism of New York City that overwhelms him and
yeah.
excites him.
Well, it
So
is. It's an exciting place.
it's an exciting place, and it thrilled him and it made him vibrate in a very unique way. So I think everybody's there. That's what it's about. It is the
Right.
Grand Jatte where everybody's living in harmony,
Mm-hmm.
actually, New York
Yeah.
City. It is this pluralistic place, ideally, but and for the most part, successful. So in some ways, I think it is the harmony of people from all walks of life in Sunday in the Park with George, but realized in Manhattan. So
Right.
I gave this a lot of thought, and the pandemic was ending, so it's been 2 years in the making. And I was thinking about New York City, my Broadway baby story, my ambition to get another 100, another 100 people just got
People.
off of the Long
Mhm.
Island Railroad to become a star. But like I showed you that picture of my
Yeah.
family, they were the actual Ziegfeld girls. That's my family. My
So
mother
it's
always
in
said,
you.
we have Follies girls in the family, and we are friends
Wow.
with them and all of this. And my Aunt Rose was very successful. My grandmother sang on the radio in the 20s. They came over as immigrants from Italy in the 1800s, lived in the Bronx, worked as seamstresses, just almost right out of the Follies story. So
Wow.
I was thinking about New York, and I was thinking about uh, it getting it to wake up again. Like we had all been frozen. Like you were saying, your life is beginning again.
Hmm.
We're not over 2020 yet. We're still
No,
coming out. We'd be stupid to say like, oh, what 2020? I don't remember.
I don't remember. It's like,
Uh,
no, I remember it vividly, honey.
yeah, it's still, we're all still trying to recover,
Yeah.
and understand what to do with our lives. But I made this record to be rhythmic, to be playful,
Hmm.
because of that ecstatic side of him, because he has a poetic view of the city for me that's ecstatic. So it's not a cast album of, running through all the songs of
Hmm.
Merrily and Company and me playing all those parts. I hope I do play a lot of parts on this. But for me, the jazz rhythms are not meant to just be diverting because like Melissa thinks she's a jazz singer because she worked with George
No.
Benson or something, uh, which was amazing.
Okay. By the way, by the
By the
by.
way, that was the most gorgeous experience of my entire human life. But I
Wow.
use the jazz on this because no other sound captures his subject so well. And he always says,
Yeah.
content dictates form. So
Yeah.
if the idea is energy and rhythm, we had to think we need a drummer. We need the best drummer on earth. And my producer, Rob Mathis, who is Sting's musical director and works with all kinds of massive people in the pop world, I met him. The first night I met him was 100 years ago, 20 years ago, because Bono was singing Cole Porter music. And I was at this Grammys event. And I
Hmm.
was like, I was in high society and I was like, this isn't Cole Porter. This is cool.
Yeah.
Who is this person? So we've been circling each other and working together. He did my Lullabies album when the kids were born. He did
Mhm.
Sondheim Sublime. And then he's now produced this. But this he really got crazy. He did everything.
Mhm.
We have an orchestra, we have a swing band, as you know.
Baby,
Baby, right?
I'm honey.
I
You
know. We threw
you
the
got
kitchen
me
sink at
working
this.
out, hunty. I'm telling you.
Exactly, exactly.
But you know,
I have a
oh no,
few
I was just this is
big
gonna be
concerts to
great.
thank.
Yeah, but you know what's even more fabulous is that at least if you're here in New York during Valentine's week from the 14th to the 18th,
Yes.
Miss Melissa Ericco is going to be doing a 10 show series, and I'm trying to figure out how you're going to get them all squeezed in on this over at Birdland.
I am.
She,
It's a
look at
Manhattan
that.
Valentine.
You got to send
And
that to me so I
we
can make
got,
sure to give that a big pop on my
oh,
page.
cool. We have a lot of shows, a lot of shows. So everybody, if you're in town for Valentine's Day, every show is going to be
A little different.
different as well, a little different, with different songs, different set lists. I have them all printed out, so we're going to be handing out paper. The
Hmm.
musicians are so cool. So,
Yeah.
but to finish my thought though about the rhythm and the necessity to have the drummer be epic,
Hmm.
Rob Mathis said we need somebody like Lewis Nash, like
Hmm.
he's an epic, drum, and then maybe we should just call Lewis Nash and just see, he's
If he's
this
free.
epic guy. He like did it. He flew into New York. We flew him in, and
Hmm.
he didn't stay long, but he was
Amazing.
amazing. This is him.
Oh, how
He's one of the
fabulous.
great people know him. I mean, he's one of the
Yeah.
biggest musicians in the world, and we
And there
got
he
along
is.
like we just brilliantly.
I, well, I have a feeling though, because you too, you're an artist. You're an artist, just like these people are musicians and artists. We have a rhythm. There's a connection, and sometimes the rhythm is really great when it works. Sometimes it gets rubbed the wrong way in some instances. But when it works, it is you just have these most genius moments. These are most exciting projects. You get to do these great
Yeah, Keith. I
things.
mean, I know I'm a musical theater actress and an actress, but I keep like clicking with musicians. I usually have ideas behind the music, and then the
Hmm.
ideas get passed to Ted Firth, my pianist, who's
Yep.
super poetic, and he's just a great poetic person. He loves to play ideas. He plays jazz on his own with his trio, and he says the only way he can move from jazz decision to jazz decision is that he knows the lyrics. So
Yep.
he's a lyrics guy. So it's like
So
making a play. It's just not, it's just more elliptical. It's
right.
like it's not like it's not a play. It's a play. Look at this CD book.
Hmm.
Like my daughter looked at, she's like, gosh, it looks like a play. You
Yeah.
open my CD and it sort of seems like there's a character and there is.
Well, what you're doing Sondheim, and when you immerse yourself in these songs, the best way to interpret the songs is to interpret them as an actress, which is what you are.
Yeah.
But then at the same time, now you've got this jazz element, you've had this big band essence
And a
that now
concept,
gives
like
you,
a,
and it
yeah.
gives you more room to float and play with these
Yeah,
songs.
it's kind of like also a concept because I'm not playing these characters. I'm going into this New York idea as a Sondheim woman, like a composite, an uptown woman, a downtown woman,
Mm.
an actress,
Ooh,
a
yes,
married
honey.
lady. So
Hyphenated
I'm
Harriet.
making I exactly. I a schizophrenic woman. Is there any other kind in New York City than a woman with two sides or complete opposites? This is a wonderful song, Uptown Downtown. It's
Oh.
the typical New York woman. As we're saying, if I created a composite woman in this album,
Mhm.
this woman is two things all the time, complete opposites. Like how can you be? She is, and all New York people are. They're
You
full
have
of contradiction.
I love it. Well, just because we bring it up, Miss Uptown, Downtown, and the hyphenated Harry.
Let's do it.
Let's do a little listen because
Listen.
this tickles me because it follows the song that I also love, Miss Broadway Baby. So,
This is a cut song from Follies. You know what I think about? It's so interesting when you hear Uptown, Downtown.
mhm,
Uh, Uptown and Downtown were a little different when Sondheim was writing. Uptown, of course, is always Park Avenue, but
mhm.
Downtown has changed over the years.
Yes,
1800s,
Lord.
in the 1800s, it was Gramercy Park, and then it was Soho, maybe to you or to some people older than
Hmm.
you. Then for us, it was sort of Tribeca, and
Hmm.
now downtown is probably Brooklyn.
Yep.
Interesting idea that downtown is
Lo-
this kind of mutable thing. But I love that he plays around with the geography like that,
mhm. It's the
Uh,
best.
and it is interesting if you think about how New York is always changing, especially when you think about downtown.
Yep.
Downtown, where the artists, where is Bohemia?
There's no such place anymore. It feels like it's New York, of course, the real estate downtown is insane. So there's definitely gonna be change and stuff that's going on down there. But gosh, man, I always flash back though with you because I always think about how passionate you become about certain issues as an actor and as a performer to the point where you're writing and to the point where you're expressing yourself in a written form, which gives everybody this added essence of you. I think they get
Yeah.
this nice place.
Oh, thank you.
Like, what's on your mind as of late that you're thinking about writing? Because I mean, might as well let's sneak it all in because she's going to be at Birdland on February 14th through the 18th. So you got to make sure you get tickets there. Go find her online, melissaericco.com, and try to get all of the links to her writing. And at the same time, like I had to write them all down because I wanted to make sure that I had all the albums. But we've got Sondheim in the City that's dropping next week. We've
Yep.
got the Le Grand Affair, which is one of my favorites too. Michel Legrand. That's so fabulous.
Oui, oui. Yep.
I missed the Out of the Dark experience that you were doing when you were touring around doing the film noir
Oh yeah, it's
classics.
so good. The film noir thing was really successful. People really enjoyed that story. I sort of created this idea that it was the pandemic, the kids were in bed. My husband had COVID and he was locked in the basement. I made that up. I mean, he did have it. I didn't lock him in the basement.
He could
But
have
I had
left, but
I opened my laptop and I would fall into film noir during
hmm
and a place that reflected in a weird way the darkness and the uh, 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 distrust in the air and so on, this
hmm
odd feeling that we all had during the pandemic, which felt so much like the era of the
yeah.
darkest time in history when film noir was even made and why it was made. What
hmm
it came out of it was these European emigre directors who moved to Hollywood. They didn't make the movies for
hmm
Europe because they were cut off because
hmm
they got away from Hitler. And they made these movies, and sometimes there were Latin rhythms in the music because they had to sell it to Latin America. So they
Yep.
invented, uh, you know, uh,
The Carmen
Carmen
Miranda.
Miranda. Exactly. And had all these thieves go off to Rio or
Uh-huh.
Mexico or something. I found the whole thing so intriguing, and that an art form was born from darkness. So I was thinking about our time of darkness and trying to come up with another extension of the film noir sensibility, which
Right.
people say does live on in the form of Batman movies,
Hmm.
as well. But so I tried to do my
All that
version of
superhero stuff is kind of dark
Batman.
anyway, so And then I
Yeah,
have to go
noir is
back
always
now,
renewable. Yeah.
but I have to go back and I have to find the Blue Like That album because I want to know what that whole story is and what you were going through in that period. Because
Well, that's my first
again,
boyfriend. That's love, and that's my sort of sad sack
uh,
side. How do you choose? And living downtown, and I was in love with somebody that I couldn't continue with. It was,
girl, again,
yeah,
telling my story. How you doing?
it was
Keep
called Blue Like That. And
it
yeah, I
like
was
that.
heartbroken and trying to learn, which I continue to do, how to
Mhm.
organize my emotions in life, and that was my first effort to really organize my feelings. And it was a very personal record. My brother even contributed some very sensual, beautiful songs called
Mhm.
"I Still Love You," and because he's cool, and I love musicians. And the
Mhm.
first musicians I ever met was my dad and my brother, both very sensitive musicians. My father plays classical piano,
Mhm.
French music, Poulenc, Chopin. He's a doctor,
Mhm.
but he didn't have the luxury to be a musician. He went to Vietnam and uh, really had to pull himself up. He was a
Yeah.
scholarship student and so on. He became a doctor, but the Italian American story uh, you know, is a climb. So
Yep.
becoming an artist would have been irresponsible for my father. So, but he
Yeah.
had music in himself, and he did it all
Mhm.
the time as I was a kid. And my brother picked it up. My brother's a guitar player, so he was on that record. So Blue Like That is my first effort to become a musician myself
Ooh, and doing it through heartbreak, which is,
through heartbreak and storytelling. Because
you
the
know.
actress side of me, I couldn't really just be like, "Hey, I'm going to write a song about my life."
Mhm.
I always think like an actress, which is what other people's music could illuminate and be really cool if I stitched them all together and made this weave of feeling.
Wow.
What would that be like? That's just
That's,
been what I know how to do
I
or
mean,
try to do.
that's what I mean, you be doing it right, sis. I'm just saying,
Oh, you're the
you do it
best.
right. You
I feel
do it
like we should be in
right.
that corner booth at 54 laughing together. We will be soon.
We will be soon.
Yeah, yeah.
But even though we're not 54 below in it, do not forget Birdland,
Now,
honey.
Birdland is like big. It's
That's
Valentine's Day. It's 5 days of total crazy. I'll have a dress a minute and
hmm
bands and other musicians coming in. People who have gigs at the Carlisle are going to come down and do a solo and a trumpet and then go back on a taxi. I have this sexy lady from Paris, my friend Isabel, who was Michel Legrand's muse.
hmm
She speaks some English, but she's the most exotically French, gorgeous creature. And she's going to sing with me on the 15th and the 18th. We're going to do some Paris in my New York show. I couldn't help myself because she was in town.
Oh,
So we always have friends, and I try to put on a party there. Be really ready,
yes.
but also be ready for the unexpected.
Well, that's the best part though, because again, Birdland is much more of a jazz open, it's like a
Yes,
jazz kind of environment to begin with. So the
exactly. So you got
idea
to give a
that you're going to
jazz
go in there,
experience.
that you're
Yeah,
going to give that, where it's a
yeah,
little loose, it's
yeah.
it's put together, but it's a little loose, and
You
that's a
are
good
speaking
thing.
my language. I'm actually going to sing Lullaby of Birdland as I come out, and then some weird way I'm going to mix it into what more do I need? So we're going to swing so fast, and 100,000 lyrics are going to come out of my mouth.
My God, girl,
But
I
I thought
can't.
it'd be funny to come out, and my dress didn't fit last night, so I'm traumatized. I've gotten a little shapelier in the last like 2 weeks, I guess. And my daughter, she does play tennis. She's not that determined with
Hmm.
costumes, but she was like, "I can't get you in this." So we're like,
Oh
So
no.
I have two emergency dresses coming, but it's too fat for my for my plan. So shit.
No, honey,
But I
you are
have sexy
living.
clothes, but they're so tight that if you
Mhm.
eat one thing too much, you can't get in. So I
See?
had this whole plan. It was just like my boobs were like coming out. My daughter's like, "This is you're in it, but I don't think you can go on stage in that," she said.
Don't,
So,
please, mom, don't
so
embarrass us. Please, mother
I'm
dear.
sure I shouldn't say this on I mean, whatever,
You
television
say
here.
whatever, honey. You
It's
know
gonna
it's me.
follow me forever, and then she doesn't fit in her dress.
Well, you know what though? Neither did Oprah. So there, look at her.
Ugh, yes, exactly. She did pretty well.
She's doing
She
all
did
right.
pretty well. What's
That's
that? Yeah, we're going to try to put on a big show. I'll be back at 54 Below in May
okay.
to do a very sharp, all Sondheim uh, thing for May 7th, 8th, and 9th. But this show has the 2 nights of the 16th and the 17th. We're releasing the record. We're going to have a
Right.
party. We're going to have stuff in the house. We have posters. It's going to be super fun. But we're also, most of the shows, doing Cole Porter's Down on the Depth in the 90th Floor. We're singing all
Mm.
kinds of New York songs, Billy Joel, Joni Mitchell. So we're celebrating New York and Valentine's Day and sex, love, survival, the usual.
Mm.
Sex,
The
love,
thing,
and survival, if I
honey.
can get into the dress.
But you know what? You don't need to be in the dress if it's about sex and love. How you doing?
That's right. How you
Ew.
doing? Maybe I should just come in the
Alright.
bathrobe and be done with it and like a teddy, like Lena Hall or something.
Oh, I
My
love
friend.
it.
Just come out in
You
my underwear.
and
But
just
I'm
do
too
it.
old.
No, but
Too
you know what?
elegant.
It's what I love about it is that you are opening yourself up to be even freer than you've been in the past. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you've done, at least just, like a quick thing, it's sort of like this particular project, even though you're doing Sondheim, I feel like you are really getting to just like spread your wings
Yeah, it's
in a
pretty
way that you
freewheeling.
haven't done.
Yeah,
And
this is
I
pretty
love that for
freewheeling.
you. I
Yeah.
love that for you.
You know what? I have spent the last 2 years almost nonstop traveling I
Yes.
mean, I come home to my children. I am taking care of my children, but the nightclub life just creates this feeling of like, what now? Like,
Hmm.
just surprise me. Like, you're
Yeah.
not paying me? Of course you're not paying me. Or there's nobody here? Of course there's nobody here. Oh,
Mhm.
there's 8,000 people here. We should have rehearsed, like just whatever. And you just learn to have a good time and just, kick
Yes.
some ass and laugh and tell the
Hmm.
drummer, he like, can I make this funky? And I turned to the guy of the George Benson band. I was like,
Uh-huh.
Mark, I was like, he goes, because I was singing some Legrand stuff and it was like this massive arena. I was like,
Uh-huh.
what am I doing here? And he's like, can I make this funky? And I was like, you can make it funky. You
That's
make it
it.
funky. I said, you do what you do and I'll do what I do. And we're
Uh-huh.
just out there and he was just playing this unbelievable stuff. And I'm not that nervous, knock on wood,
Yeah.
because we're working so much.
Hmm.
Small theaters, big theaters. We're having a good time. I have to say, I absolutely love the musicians I work with, and not just Ted. I mean, but Ted is unique. But
Hmm.
I do love what we're doing. So thank you for saying so. And I do think the record reflects a kind of, you know, nightclub freedom,
Hmm.
jazz interpretive freedom, but we do have an idea behind it. It's not just like jazz. It's
Yeah.
an idea of who Sondheim was in the city and what our city is and what my city is and what excites me about this city. My appetite still. I still have
Mm.
an appetite for it.
Yeah.
It's racing through my veins and it was racing through his.
Yeah.
A
Well,
love of New York.
but again, there's something about the energy of New York that, at least for me, has always been, and I've been here now almost 30 years, is that you are forced to be in the moment. You are forced to be alive in the moment when you are
Yeah.
here. And it's one of those things that I have, like I said before when I was telling you off mic, is that it's been a bit of a struggle for me to be able to do some of the things that I loved to do, and I couldn't do them because of the circumstances that I was in. Relationships end, life does this,
Yeah.
and I finally feel, for lack of a better term, way more alive now than I have in the past couple of years. And
Right. You're
it's
making me
it's
think of the song Being Alive.
yeah, and it's like, and I
Because
can't help it.
young people think it's their song, right? Because it's about Bobby, wanting to
Hmm.
make his first commitment. But people are our age or older people, we want to feel alive too. And we want that kind of intensity of connection and belonging. That's
Yeah.
what being alive is really about. It's his best soliloquy. And I think it
Hmm.
can be uh, an artist's soliloquy. I want to feel alive. It can be a mother's thing. I don't want to feel stuck.
Yeah.
I want to be needed, but really needed, not just like a slave. I want to be needed. Or in your case, to start your life and feel valued
Yeah.
and alive. And what's really interesting, I don't think I would have thought of this until I was an old lady, is that it's not about that song is not about wanting happiness. It's about
Hmm.
wanting a certain kind of pain,
Right.
right? It's
Yeah.
being wanting a certain kind of pain, wanting to
Feel
uh,
all of that.
feel all of that
All.
agony, even if it's agony, and a performer's life is agony, and a New Yorker's life is on some level a lot of agony.
Mm-hmm.
Half the stuff we all wanted, we're not going to get, or less, right? That we're going to
For
be
real,
full of
girl.
regret,
For
right?
real. But
Right. So my record isn't like I love New York. It's not
mhm.
like a dopey record like that. It's more about isolation, regret, perseverance, protest. Like you have to protest. Like everybody says don't. That song, it's a
Mhm.
wonderful song. If you take it and have it as
Have
part
it.
of your city, the fabric of your city and your psychology,
Mhm.
everybody will say no.
Yep.
Don't. You can't. Don't write the play. Don't be an actor. Don't this. You can't find love. It's too
Mhm.
late.
Yeah.
Or whatever they're going to say. I say do. I say walk on the grass. It was meant to feel. I say sail. Tilt at the windmill. And if you fail, you fail. It's
What
that
the hell?
idea of the choice may have been mistaken, the choosing was not. That's all in
Oh,
his work, you
I
know?
love it. Well,
I swear
honey,
to God, if there was a church, like I would be like this priest or whatever, like with like
that's your you'd be
Sondheim on it.
signing
It's,
lyrics.
I know
You're
that
a
sounds really sketchy to say, but
no, but I love it. But again,
maybe I should start like a retreat in Rhinebeck, like called like the Sondheim, and like I could have like candles, and we
you
could
could
all
do the whole thing.
have
Everybody's
a
sitting around.
scripture.
I love it. You're a
This is
mess, Melissa.
demented.
But I
I'm a
love
mess.
you
That's a
so
demented
much.
thing to say. I don't mean it.
Oh no, but I love you so much, and I'm so glad that you are back with something fresh and fabulous. Sondheim
Thank
of the
you.
City that's going to drop on February 16th. You must, if you're in New York on the 14th and through the 18th of February, come and see her at Birdland. She's doing 10 performances in a hot bag of fabulousness. She's going to be in and out. She's going to have so much going on. You will be so thrilled that you spend the time to do
Yeah,
it.
come and join the party, and then we'll have more things to do. There's always more to do and
Absolutely.
think about and celebrate. And there's so much talent in our city. And, I always try to bring in as much of it as I can and include my friends. And I'm just grateful and
It's going to be
excited to be a
good.
part of this city beat.
Uh, but I'm also grateful for you because you've now taken on one of my new songs of being alive and giving it that love. And I'm so thankful for you, and I'm thankful for everyone that's paying attention and listening. So again, Melissa Ericco, thank you for spending time with me and being my first interview back in
My
the
pleasure.
world of
And
broadcasting.
who better than Sondheim to give it purpose?
Absolutely,
Thank you.
because we're still here. I love it.